Imagine being 6 or 8 years old and coming to the grand realization that in this horrific life that you are living, where you're being verbally, physically, and sexually abused on the regular, and that your parents not only know about it, but they're allowing it and themselves engaging in it. What if, amid all of that, where you don't feel safe anywhere, let alone, and most importantly, in your own home, what if you were to discover that even God can't save you? What if you were to discover that fundamentally your parent is more powerful than God for all intents and purposes? Now, there are a whole lot of people getting their hackles up when I say that, but we just dropped an episode of our show, the Badass Counseling Show podcast, and the guest on today's show that just dropped today is Rebecca, and she tells the story of this is exactly what happened to her. She's 50 years old now, and she's in the mental health field and so forth, and she's built a pretty great life, but she had the horrific experience of discovering that even God couldn't help her. In Latin, there's a very fascinating word that we have an English equivalent of. The English word is inexorable. And the Latin is quite interesting because the able, inexorable, able at the end means able. In at the beginning means not, and ex, as in exit, means out. The middle part though, inexorable, the ora part means to pray. Inexorable is a situation so bad you can't even pray your way out of it. This woman on the show, Rebecca, discovered she found herself in a church in an odd twist of fate, and she was praying and praying and praying in the church, and she imagined that God was going to come down and save her. And God didn't. And she had upon the horrific life she was living, she had the even more awful realization that God wasn't coming to save her, that in fact her mother was more powerful than God for all intents and purposes. You still think that your impact on your children isn't significant? You still think that you don't have significant influence, power over that child? And I'm not even talking about abuse. I'm saying everything else. To the child, the parent is not only God, but more powerful than God. You have all the power. How are you using your power as a parent? Are you using it for good? Day in and day out, becoming more and more deliberate about your parenting and what you're doing and what you're fucking saying and what you're not saying. You have to be deliberate because it will have long-lasting effects, just as it did with Rebecca, the guest on the show, until she's fucking 50. 50. Think about it. Have a kick-ass day.